Man, so okay, so the big revelation before was that I was put a bug on Tanaka because she thought that he was up to something, and she was right. But now I is involved too. Was she concerned that he was working for a third party? But she wouldn't kidnap her own daughter, right? Because she's connected to the pharmaceutical company because her dad is the one that's the CEO, which is how he got the job there. But she wouldn't be working against her father in that way, even though she had a relationship with Tanaka before all of this happens that we started looking into and then had to stop because we got caught up in other stuff. I don't know what to do. I don't know where this is going, but let's head back to Minorikawa, who is once again not stopped by an interested party. Okay. So we're gonna head through this again, not hit Achi with a car, not get in Osawa's car and then get arrested and killed by Big Pharma. Maybe we'll find out. We'll see who Minorikawa runs into this time. That forces us to go to their thing. This is going crazy though. This is going crazy. This is a very I know what was it? I know what you did last summer. Was that? Yeah, that wasn't Scream, right? The I know what you did last summer was the call is coming from inside the house thing. Man. Was that Scream? Have you checked the kids? Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna look this up. Have you checked the children? When a stranger calls? Is that it? Oh, I'm sorry. Skipped a little through this. Can I go back a second? Okay. Whatever it is. Not my time to look it up. I need to read. Taxi stop outside of Heaven Publishing. The trip had taken 10 minutes on the dot. Thanks. Narcod left a 1,000 yen bill in the seat and exited the cab. So last time, we were stopped by Osawa. It's the one my mom watched when she wasn't allowed. Sir! The driver called after him. Narcod turned back around. Kimizuka was leaning out the window to point at him. It isn't called work because it's fun, sir. The day will be over soon enough. Just hang in there a little bit longer. The driver finished with a knowing grin. Minorikawa cracked a ghost of a smile. Maybe his spirits had been lifted just a tiny little bit. Thank you, he replied. You're a true friend of the working man. He waved half-heartedly, then headed into the building. Shake it, do it again. Mr. Mino! Chiaki threw herself at him as soon as he opened the doors of the editing office. It's Chiaki Nanami. No, it's not. News of the explosion was playing on the television. Minorikawa marched straight to his desk and opened up his laptop. While booted up, he tried to get a handle on the current situation. Where are the folks from the loan company? He asked. They're here, Chiaki said. I have them waiting downstairs. Do they know Toyama's dead? I'm sorry. I kind of let that slip. What about Hana? Oh, no, didn't want to do that. I'm not sure. I haven't heard from her since she called earlier. With a tiny sigh, Minorikawa started typing at his laptop. By some miracle, his 6 pages of the copy were nearly wrapped up. Still, he needed to do whatever it took to see this job through to the end. That would serve as his final tribute to Toyama's memory. He loaded up his copy into the DTP software in order to set the layout. Bit by bit, actual magazine articles began to take shape. Then the editing department door swung open. It's these two jerks. Hey, snarled the young man who barged in first. He kicked over a stack of books. How long you gonna keep us waiting, huh? God, these two just need to get a life. Honestly, Sagawa, must you be so rowdy? A middle-aged man stepped in alongside. This is actually Reno and Rude from FF7. Are you Mr. Minorikawa then? He had his eyes fixed on the journalist. He held out his business card. Pleasure to meet you. I'm Asao Ozu from Takarada Financing. Black market lending firm that offers loans at an interest rate above what the law allows, well known for taking whatever steps necessary to collect what's owed. Its business card slogan, got bad credit but you need a loan? Call in any time, we'll put together a loan that suits your needs. My deepest sympathies about Mr. Toyama, however, I'm afraid that we do need you to give us back the money we loaned. Despite his polite tone, the threat in his voice was plain. Look, next month's issue of 4-Star General Gossip is definitely coming out. Couldn't you please wait for repayment until we have the funds from those sales? Minorikawa asked. That was exactly what Toyama's plan had been, after all. Well, we certainly are monsters. If the magazine's gonna be making you money, we wouldn't mind delaying another month. You really mean it? Chiaki chirped. To clarify, that would be the case if Toyama were still alive. Releasing the next issue is all well and good, but with Toyama gone, so too is the company. They'll make full repayment to what we're owed impossible, I expect. Then what do you want us to do? Minorikawa asked coldly. How about we just cut to the chase? Growled the younger man, Sagawa. Dig out your ears and listen up. Chiaki recoiled in panic and Minorikawa held up an interposing hand. Knock it off, he said. You're scaring the young lady. A thin smile came to Ozu's face. All we want to know is where Mr. Toyama's daughter is. Yeah, that's right, Sagawa said. Tell us where the girl is. No way! Chiaki squeaked in protest. Hana's just a little kid. She doesn't have the responsibility to pay back the... Ozu didn't let her finish. We're aware of that. Nevertheless, we'd still like to know where she is. The law didn't matter right now. Guys like this had all sorts of ways of wringing money out of people. It was clear from the looks on their faces that Ozu and Sagawa had some wicked scheme up their sleeves. Unless, of course, you would prefer to take on Toyama's debts, Mr. Minorikawa. You are quite the accomplished reporter, after all. Take on his debts, huh? Minorikawa didn't know how much Toyama had borrowed, but it only took one look at these guys to tell him it was no small sum. How about it? Osawa asked. The way you can land scoop after scoop, I'm sure you'll be able to repay us in full before you die. Kawa fiercely returned his stare. Can't we just call it even? That's a stupid answer. I'm probably gonna die here, but I had to say it. The two men stiffened. What was that? The elder of the two demanded. No, I am sticking with this stupid course of action. I am going right along with it. Can't we just call it even? This time Minorikawa spat the words out sharp and clear. The older fellow furrowed his brow, vein pulsing visibly at his temple. You want to say that one more time? He growled. Minorikawa cleared his throat. I'm gonna get us killed right now. Click. Call it even. Ow! The next thing Minorikawa knew, he'd been headbutted right between the eyes. The instant later, he was slammed bodily down onto the desk. You dumb bastard! You could vaguely hear the middle-aged man's voice ring inside his head. That's why he lost consciousness. Mr. Mino! Someone was calling to him. Mr. Mino, wake up! Chiaki? He forced his eyelids back open. I didn't get us killed? What happened? Here, could you please read this? Chiaki held out a printed draft of her article. How long had he been knocked out? It was a dream! No. A minute? No, maybe an hour? Are you awake now, sir? The voice of the middle-aged... are you awake now, sir? The voice of the middle-aged thug intruded on his dazed mind. Oh, no, they're just sitting there. Looking around, Minorikawa saw the two men from Takarada Financing still there, casually seated on the sofa. So, okay, so we had to reach this conclusion regardless, but I probably could have avoided having my head slammed into the desk first. Couldn't have been out without for too long then. We'll just wait here till you're inclined to take on this debt. Minorikawa's nose stung painfully. Please, can you read this? Chiaki repeated. It's my copy from the street interviews. I know even if next month's issue gets released, it's not going to fix the debt problem, but still, I mean, I already wrote it and all. I just want to point out Chiaki's absolutely adorable sweater that has the tie print on it and her like little furry scarf thing. She just has a great outfit. Nodding silently, Minorikawa took hold of the copy. She was right, this isn't going to help the debt situation. But when a professional took on a job, they saw it through to the end. Minorikawa gave a quick once-over. He saw immediately that the piece was lacking in structure. Oh boy. He then read the article a second time, checking the finer details. Several off-theme sentences jumped out at him. This is no good, rewrite it. He thrust the printout back at Chiaki. Yes, sir. She bowed her head and retreated to another desk. The TV was still on. A news broadcaster's voice suddenly broke through the silence, as well as Minorikawa's concentration. We're live on the scene now, where an explosion in Shibuya has... Minorikawa gazed blankly at the screen. He found his mind drifting to a particular memory of Toyama. The door locked. It looked like it might fall apart at any moment. Minorikawa didn't care. He pounded on it as hard as he could. The Toyama nameplate popped off and fell to the floor. It was hard to believe this dilapidated apartment is the home of a newspaper editor who worked his way up from the reporter. Hey, Toyama, get your ass out here! At the sound of Minorikawa's angry shouting, other tenants on the floor poked their heads out of their rooms to stare. He paid them no heed, continuing to call out. Eventually, Toyama opened the door, dressed in his sweats and undershirt. Quiet down, you moron! He snapped. Come on in! I hear you tendered your letter of resignation at the paper. Minorikawa sat cross-legged on the tatami-covered floor. Tell me why. Toyama quirked a lopsided grin. You wanna know why I quit, huh? Alright, lean in close. Minorikawa peered at him dubiously. Huh? Why? I don't want anyone overhearing this. Resigned, Minorikawa leaned forward and turned his right ear toward Toyama. The man's warm breath against his cheek was pretty unsettling. At first he had trouble concentrating on Toyama's story, but when the older man got to the crux of the matter, he found himself listening with rapt attention. By the time Toyama finished, Minorikawa was unable to suppress his shock. You're starting your own publishing company? Not so loud, damn it! Toyama shushed him with a finger to his lips, looked around warily as if there might be spies in his own apartment. Right, but a publishing company? Minorikawa said again more quietly this time. What are you doing for your distributor account? All booksellers were required to use a wholesale distributor to circulate their publications. To do business with such a distributor, a publisher needed a specialized distributor account. They're not going to let a company with no track record open a new account with a distributor. I'm sure you must realize that. Toyama grinned, a proud gleam in his eye. I know, that's why I bought one. You bought one? A ghost account belonging to a publisher that went bankrupt. Distributor accounts could go for tens of millions of yen. There was no way Toyama could afford that on his severance pay alone. He must have taken out a loan in order to make the purchase. But the publishing industry was in a slump nowadays. People just weren't buying books much anymore. Starting up a new publishing company was a beyond risky endeavor. And I've already decided on the name for my company, Minorikawa. Toyama's face was positively beaming. Get this, Heaven Publishing. Heaven? That sounds fatalistic. The idea is that people who work for me will feel like they're in paradise. For all his fetching about keeping quiet, Toyama was now exclaiming pretty loudly himself. I mean, I can appreciate your willingness to take the risk, but... Yeah! Thank you so much, Pupcake, for the bits. I want a ham sandwich. I grant you one ham sandwich. I appreciate your willingness to take the risk, but surely your wife must have had objections, Minorikawa said. Toyama fell silent. He went and opened up the refrigerator. Minorikawa took a peek inside. Its shelves were mournfully spare, holding little besides beer cans and drinking snacks. Mrs. left me. Took her daughter with her. The scant few words painted the picture clearly enough. Toyama grabbed a can of beer and tossed it to his guest. But no more sob stories, he went on. He briskly cracked open his own can of beer. Weak foam bubbled from the top. Cheers, Minorikawa! To Heaven Publishing's big debut! He cast everything aside and was striving for a new beginning. If the man had braced himself for the challenge, it wasn't Minorikawa's place to tell him he was making a mistake. Even if it was uphill battle, he had little chance of winning. Sometimes you just gotta support the weird things your friends do. Congrats, Mr. Toyama. Minorikawa pulled the tab in his beer can. Cheers! The two of them clacked their cans together. Big mood right there. 1 year had passed since Toyama founded Heaven Publishing. Minorikawa poked his head into the editing office, a bag from the convenience store in hand. Hey, boss, how's business? How does it look like it's doing? Toyama said amidst a veritable mountain of returned stock, his expression bleak. Bookstores do not purchase the books they sell, but rather take them on consignment. This allows them to return to the publisher any books that do not sell. The books were all bulky non-fiction tomes, not exactly the sort to fly off the shelves. Remember to stay hydrated. The man couldn't even muster a smile for their reunion. It's been like this for every non-fiction book we put out. Wow, starting right off the bleak stuff, huh? Because things are bleak, the only thing that's selling is the gossip rag of ours. Minorikawa pulled some beer cans from his hand, handing one to Toyama. Toyama lifted an issue of 4-star journal gossip from atop his desk. It was Heaven Publishing's one breadwinner, the only thing keeping the company afloat. But the gossip now seemed like it was buried in the red of the publisher's non-fiction releases. I really did have higher aspirations than this, Toyama sighed, gazing in disappointment at the piles of unsold books. But here we are. With our gossip magazine as our only viable publication. The beleaguered bookseller chugged his beer. Daddy, I'm hungry. Minorikawa started to hear a young child's voice. Look at her. Oh, look at her, bless. He turned around to see a little girl nestled between the stacks of returned stock. That's my daughter, Hana, Toyama said. It's complicated, but she's living with me now. I see. Minorikawa couldn't press for more details with Hana right there. In all likelihood, things with Toyama's ex-wife hadn't been going well. Go on, introduce yourself, Toyama said. This is one of Daddy's work friends. Hana turned to Minorikawa with a bright little grin. Hello, my name's Hana. I'm 6. You want some of this? You want some of this? Minorikawa held out a packet of dried squid he brought to go with the beers. Sure. Hana greedily stuffed her cheeks with the squid. Toyama flashed a sheepish grin. Oh, look at her little computer there. She's got a little flower and a scribble and typing up a article. You like living with your daddy, Hana? Minorikawa asked, giving the girl's hair a gentle ruffle. Uh-huh, I do. My daddy's amazing. He runs a company. Toyama let a tiny involuntary sob at his daughter's ready praise. I'll keep at it, Toyama said, looking into his daughter's smiling face. Hana is more important to me than any high aspirations I might have had. No. I'll keep shoveling out copies of the gossip. And at least make sure she's always got something good to eat. Daddy, this is really tasty. Hana held up the pouch of dried squid. Tears welled in Toyama's eyes. Next time I'll make sure she has some sashimi instead of something like this. Hey, what do you mean something like this? Minorikawa grumbled. I'm the one who bought it. Toyama's daughter laughed together. It was a heartwarming sight, Minorikawa thought. A father and his girl getting along so well. Toyama might have been a hard-hitting journalist, but when he came home at the end of the day, he was just daddy. It was only natural for the man as a father to put his child above anything else. After gorging herself on snacks, Hana fell asleep on the sofa looking well and truly satisfied. You know, Minorikawa, Hana's happiness means more to me than my lovely artistic ideals ever could. Toyama kept his voice low as he regarded his daughter's sleepy face. And from that day forward, Heaven Publishing had shifted its focus to scandal rags with 4-star general gossip as its pillar. Had that been for good or for ill? Whatever the case, Toyama had abandoned his pride. Minorikawa had watched him become more and more of a miserable wretch. Minorikawa snapped back into the present as a sheaf of papers appeared in front of his face. Here you go, Chiaki said, radiating anxiety. Right. Minorikawa gave her a copy, a close read over, then thrust it out back to her. What'd you even fix? He asked. Could you please tell me what parts are wrong? She mumbled, hanging her head. What are you talking about? It's just, well, we don't have a lot of time here, so I figure if I just fix the parts that need fixing. Chiaki trailed off into an indistinct mutter. Seriously, I love her outfit. Is that always how you go about fixing your copy? Yes. Then you're never gonna get any better! If someone tells you it's no good, you rewrite the whole thing from scratch. Just making fiddly tweaks here and there is what an amateur does. Chiaki dipped her head even deeper, cringing at the reprimand. Minorikawa let out a tiny sigh. Look, what I just told you, that's what Toyama told you when I was first starting out. There were times he'd have me do dozens of rewrites. At first I thought he was just pushing me around, but after writing things over and over I realized something. There are a whole lot of ways you can write about the same thing. And that's what helped me hone my skills as a writer. Chiaki raised her head back up. Oh wow, really? If you can get that, then stick with it. Write your submission deadline as close as you have to in order to write the best piece you can. Okay, I can do it. I will do it. Finally, Chiaki's face brightened with a smile. That's the spirit! The woman might have talent, but she hadn't realized it yet. She needed to be able to stick to an assignment even when things got tough. If she didn't have that kind of resolve, she'd never make it as a freelancer. Leave us alone. Oh, how touching, Ozu chimed in, applauding. I'm almost moved to tears. They'll make a movie of this for sure. See, we had only been acquainted with that sad sap Toyama. We never knew there was such an upstanding fellow here who was so good at tough love. Minorikawa shot to his feet and pounded his fist on the desk. That's about enough in the peanut gallery. Hold your tongue, Sagawa snarled, his eyes shone with a vicious gleam. We're getting sick of waiting here. Sagawa, you really are a short-tempered guy, aren't you? Ozu clucked disapprovingly at his underling, then slid a sheet of paper onto Minorikawa's desk. Nevertheless, I'm afraid we do require a decision. Now. If you'll just stamp here, we'll be on our way. Chiaki stared down at the document. Is this a bond of recognizance? Yeah, that's right. That's what you write when transferring a debt. Sagawa puffed himself up proudly. Minorikawa silently looked over the contract. If you don't have a stamp, we'll gladly accept the signature as well, Ozu pointed out. Face it, pal, Sagawa added. If you don't hurry up and sign, we're never gonna stop going after Toyama's daughter. Minorikawa snatched up the pen. Mr. Mina, you can't do this! Think about what you're doing, Chiaki shouted. If you go through with this, you'll just wind up like Mr. Toyama. I won't. Yes, you will. Just who the hell do you think I am? I'm Minorikawa, damn it! I'm gonna land so many scoops it'll make your head spin. And I'm gonna pay back this debt and rebuild Heaven Publishing. But why would you take such a risk? Chiaki sobbed. Minorikawa lowered his voice. Because I owe him so much. I can't stand by and let these scumbags kill his daughter. Aha! Before Minoru could sign, Sagawa startled him with a sudden exclamation. No! Looking up, Minorikawa saw the loan sharks had seen little Hana standing by the door. Get her! Hana, boss! Ozu and Sagawa rushed at the girl. Run! Minorikawa shouted. Hana bolted right back out the door, but Ozu managed to snatch her up just as she reached the stairs. Let's be on our way, shall we? A vile grin came to Ozu's cruel face as they headed down the stairwell. Stop! Let her go! Ooh! Minorikawa rushed after them, trying to grab the girl, but Sagawa drove a punch right into his face. Ooh. Ooh, out like a light. Oog. Pain staggered him. Nevertheless, he managed to press on. Get your hands off of that girl. Uh-oh. Shut your damn mouth. Something hard slammed into his chest. His vision went dark. He felt himself slipping from consciousness. Just before he blacked out, he heard Hana's voice. I'm sorry, Uncle Minorikawa. Sorry? No, I'm the one who should apologize. But before his thoughts got any further, Minorikawa passed out. Alright, who's... it has to be Maria's. Stop giving us bad endings with Minorikawa. First Achi gets hit by a car, then we get killed by Big Pharma, and now we get beaten by thugs. Stop it, leave us alone. Hana showed up at the office only to get caught by the moneylenders, and Sagawa drop-kicked Minorikawa into unconsciousness when he tried to save her. It turns out Hana had been at the police station just before this, trying to decide if she should tell the police her father had been killed in the explosion. Then someone brought her to Heaven Publishing, which was clearly a mistake. Alright, Kano. It's 100% you. Minorikawa is really bad luck in this hour. Alright, I wanted to go to Maria next, but this is 100% Kano's fault. Is Minorikawa ever gonna catch a break? Find out today. Arriving back at the Shibuya precinct, Kano hurried to the interrogation room. With the investigation currently on hold, he knew that taking any official action would be tricky. If he was going to break through this stalemate, he was going to need Tateno's help. So Tateno is currently MIA and possibly also working for the bad guys. We're not sure. Stanley thinks he is. We think he's not. The abduction, the ransom, the attaché case relay, Maria's release, and then Tanaka's death. Maybe Tateno would be able to figure out how all these elements were related. But first, Kano needed to check on something for himself. Tateno would never have let Al-Karawan go free. Kano needed the prisoner to set the record straight. Al-Karawan sat in the precinct interrogation room, looking brazen and cocksure. One glance at his face and Kano was reminded of what had happened to Sasayama. Alright, our friend Sasayama got stabbed, possibly dying. Fresh anger smoldered at the edges of his mind. There were two detectives already in the room. Seems he wasn't made privy to the details, one of them told Kano. Sounds like they were following orders carrying the attaché case around, the other added. Kano sat across from Al-Karawan. There's something I'd like to ask you, he said. We were just paid to do a job. I don't know anything more than that. His Japanese was imperfect, but he understood the language well enough. Tell me, how did you manage to escape from Detective Tateno? Escape? I didn't. A faint smile came to Al-Karawan's lips. He let me go free. Liar! Detective Tateno would never do that! Kano slammed the desk with his fists. I didn't have handcuffs on, did I? He took them off for me. This had to be a lie. It's not like there weren't other ways to remove a pair of handcuffs. After he took off the handcuffs, Al-Karawan continued. He pointed his gun at me. Cut the crap! Kano grabbed the prisoner by the collar, but Al-Karawan went on unperturbed. He kept the gun pointed at me, but didn't pull the trigger. So that's when I ran. Why would Detective Tateno want to shoot you? Because I saw him. Saw him? Saw him do what? Let me tell you something interesting, Al-Karawan said sardonically. There was that girl who was carrying the ransom, right? Kano pictured Otomi standing anxiously beside the statue of Hachiko. That guy Tateno was trying to kill her. Sorry, I have to answer this. Apologies. Just have to take that phone call. Alright, where were we? Right. Apparently Tateno is the one trying to kill. Tateno isn't the guy with the cane, right? No. I don't think so. His colleagues rushed to interpose themselves. Kano, calm down! Knocked to the floor, Al-Karawan gingerly fingered his split lip. And after I gave you such good info too, he grumbled. Detective Tateno was assigned to protect Hitomi Osawa, Kano shouted. You can't expect me to believe you're rubbish. He lunged around the table, ready to throw another punch, but his fellow detectives held him back. Al-Karawan looked away indifferently. It's your Detective Tateno you should be arresting, not me. That girl's gonna get killed. You need to step in line, pal, Kano bellowed. Kano, his colleague shouted. You're the one who needs to step in line. Go and cool off for a bit. We really can't believe that Tateno is involved. Expelled the interrogation room, Kano immediately pulled out his cell phone and called Tateno's number. Please pick up. He clutched his phone tight, pleading under his breath. But Tateno didn't answer. Does no one have answering voicemail? Nobody? No? Okay. Sorry. Kano sat down in a chair in the hallway in a bit of a daze. He found himself holding the present Sasayama had gotten for his wife. I have to do something. I just don't know what I'm supposed to do. His restlessness gnawed at him like a rabid animal.